it's Jamie from M.A.D Fitness. Today I want to talk to you about dieting and different types and styles of diets, what to look out for, how to make the decision of what's going to work best for you. So the most important things affecting a diet and which diet you should do is the one that you can stick to the most. So the one that is the most realistic for you to be able to eat like that every single day, and not just for a period of time, but basically for the rest of your life. So if you really like carbohydrates, if you like chips, veggies, fruit, stuff like that, picking a diet that has no carbs in and trying to stick to that for the rest of your life is not a realistic choice for you. If you're somebody that likes to snack often and eat every couple of hours, picking a diet where you only eat once a day is not something you're realistically going to maintain. So you have to be quite honest with yourself before you make a choice of, you know, does this work for me? Can I realistically eat these kinds of foods? Am I going to a certain degree enjoy it? Because if from day one it's going to be torture, then I promise you, you're not going to be able to stick it out long term. Secondly, you have to think about your schedule. So again, if you don't have time to eat through the day and you only have time to eat in the morning, and then once you get home from work at night, picking a meal plan, picking a diet where you need to eat 5, 6, 7 small meals, again, is not going to be a realistic option for you. You need to pick something that's going to fit around your schedule and around your family's schedule. Thirdly is budget. So a lot of the online fitness gurus, especially females, want to give you all of these kind of smoothie options and these just ridiculous recipes. The ingredients you can't source locally, you're going to have to go to a health shop, and if you start working out your sort of cost per meal on some of those options, it ends up being very expensive. So again, to try and maintain that long term, you put in a lot of pressure on yourself. And then time restriction wise as well, a lot of those kind of recipes aren't very family friendly, so you'll either end up buying that food for everyone and it costs a fortune, but half of your family, like maybe your husband or your kids, don't eat those types of foods, or you end up making 2 different meals, one for yourself and one for the rest of your family, which then obviously puts more time pressure on you. So those are the things that you need to think about primarily. Now, different names, common names and styles of diet. You have your high fat options, which are paleo and Atkins and Banting. Now the difference between these, the paleo diet doesn't include like grains and dairy and stuff like that. It's literally like one of the oldest style diets from when we were hunter-gatherers, and yeah, very basic food groups, everything naturally sourced and eating from the ground. Keto and Banting, higher fat. Banting now, they encourage you to eat until you're full, and because you're eating high fat foods, you get fuller longer. So you still have a decent amount of protein in all 3 of those diets, but your carbohydrates will be very low, and with the keto, that's the most strict of those 3, where your carbohydrates will be the lowest to keep your body in ketosis throughout that diet. And like I said earlier, if you're somebody that likes carbs, that's not going to be particularly maintainable for you. And then with Atkins, you start off with very low carbs, and then gradually it moves through phases of the diet and your carbohydrates will increase. So those are your high fat or moderate high fat, moderate high protein, but very low carb options. But they've all got the similarities of being a very farm style, from the earth, hunter-gatherer, unrefined. Sugars are allowed on most of those options, but no refined sugar, and no processed foods. So everything unprocessed, not these like store-bought Viennas and chips and other things like that. You need to think from the ground, natural food sources. Other diet options, then you have something called If It Fits Your Macros. Now this is a macros based meal plan. Macros are macronutrients, which are protein, carbohydrates and fats. So then someone will work out for you how much of each of those macronutrients you need per day. You are told that number, and then you can eat whatever type of food you want as long as you hit those daily numbers. Now, where most people go wrong, and why I wouldn't advocate this, especially for first-time dieters, there's quite a lot of planning and prep that goes into it, because you need to prep your meals out for the day and put it into a food diary, and if you don't, you find it very hard by sort of mid-afternoon to get your macronutrient numbers right. So there has to be a certain amount of planning with it, especially until you get used to your meals and the portions of your meals and what works within your daily limits and what doesn't. The other thing is, a lot of the time people just use this as a free-for-all, because you can have flexibility in your dieting, and that's the whole selling point of this diet. People choose less nutritious options. Now, a lot of people don't have the discipline, they don't have the knowledge, the self-control to be able to make good, informed, educated decisions repeatedly, especially when you're new to dieting, which again is why this isn't something I will recommend for beginners. Because if you can have 50 grams worth of carbohydrates from sweet potato, or you can have 50 grams worth of carbohydrates from jelly babies. One is clearly going to be better for your body, and more nutritious, better micronutrients, so more vitamins and minerals, better fiber, and also better satiation, so it's going to make you feel fuller. Also, how quickly your body absorbs jelly babies is going to give you a very quick sugar spike, whereas sweet potato is going to gradually give you energy release. So there's a lot of factors that go into it that people don't understand, and then if the whole point with this diet is, you know, maybe once a week, twice a week, if you want to pick the jelly baby option, you go for it. It's not encouraging for it to be every single day for months, and especially not if every single one of those meals that you're choosing is also not nutritious. It's not going to be helpful for your long-term health. However, with what I was saying before, potentially it's going to be a little bit easier to stick to if you have got the time to plan and prep and work out what your meals are going to be. Then it could be a good option for you. For myself, the meal plans that I like to do are a combination of my own style, and if it fits your macros, because I do believe that adherence to a diet is increased when you give people options and flexibility, as opposed to the old kind of bodybuilding style diet where it's kind of stereotypical hake and broccoli and rice, which isn't enjoyable. A lot of people struggle to stick to that mentally and physically, and then it becomes, again, like you lose a lot of weight in a small amount of time, but then you pick it up again because it's not maintainable. So still sticking to healthy, nutritious food options, but with a lot more variety, and looking at the portions that we're putting on our plate. So I do agree that if you're going to get, if you need 20 grams of protein from a meal, you can have the flexibility with that. I just believe that if you are picking lean protein options like chicken, fish, lean red meat, then you can have a much bigger portion for that protein, which is going to help you visually feel fuller, and it's going to help you in your tummy also feel fuller, because now you felt like you've had a significant amount of food. If I can tell you that half a cup of starch, so sweet potato and rice, is a similar amount of calories to 1 cup of orange veg, which is similar to 2 cups of green veg, then you can kind of imagine now on your plate, you know, which is going to be the most volume, and therefore which is going to make you feel the most full. And for me, if you're not hungry on a diet and you're enjoying the type of foods that you're eating, that's what's going to make you adhere to it more strictly, which is going to give you better long-term results and is going to give you a healthier overall